In this case, Somalia is just terrible. A lot of people say it's the worst country anywhere in the world. They have no money, no nothing. They have no government. They have no police. They just shoot each other all day long. They go to Minnesota, and they stole $19 billion.
To be clear, it's not a race thing. The retard-making factory is generations of incest with no interest in changing it and bringing them here knowing that they just left the retard-making factory and stuffed it in some packing peanuts and a box. That's Minnesota. Next one. Here's two things President Trump said yesterday. And then cue the outrage. One coming from the left and the dissident, the horseshoe right, the don't vote right. And then the other just outrage from the left, period. Now, I understand when I heard him say this, I said, okay, this is the argument. They're going to pounce on that because of the optics. He was discussing daycare. He was asked about it. And he said that we couldn't afford it because we have other things going on, things like wars, et cetera. And I knew that people were going to say, see, our payments are going to Iran. Mm-hmm. Let me just present my perspective. I certainly don't believe in nation building. I certainly don't believe in forever wars. That's why I said give it 3 months, and then I will determine my final opinion on Iran. Okay. But I never want to make the argument we shouldn't protect the United States or we should never engage in any type of conflict because that money should go to entitlements. That's why I don't share the same outrage. So here's what he said, and then I also want to maybe illuminate something that people are missing that I think has been highlighted by the Strait of Hormuz and the Iran conflict. Cue clip.
The United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it, too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up for, but it's not possible for us to take care of daycare. Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things, they can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing, military protection. We have to guard the country.
And to be clear, we've shown you this pie chart before. Entitlement programs make up, it's the single biggest line item as far as our spending. Okay? Yep, military's pretty big, not as big as entitlement spending. Also, for those of you who say, hey, school should be a state issue if you're a conservative, right-leaning, MAGA, which I am, that's perfectly in line with what we've always believed. To say this is a problem, take away the obfuscation of Iran equals no daycare. Do you really think the federal government should increase taxes across the board and you should pay an increased income tax, for example, in Oklahoma, to pay for daycare in Mamdani's New York? Because he just promised it to all municipal employees.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because the states have different economies.
Yes.
They've got different cost of livings. It's all dependent by state. You can't be making somebody who's...
And different priorities. Some states that are more traditional maybe say, hey, you know what? We actually don't want to hand over children to the state. We want to provide parents with more options. So maybe some tax breaks, some tax credits. Maybe we can create an environment within our state where more people can stay home with their children. And by the way, some states have done that. But here's something else. Because people point and they go, see, our payments are going to Iran. You know who else wouldn't be able to pay for daycare? All the nations that leftists and the horseshoe right point to in Europe if they had to defend themselves. So unless you start with the premise that there are no threats ever globally, that there are no evil actors, there are no people who actually want to harm us, and everyone's actually okay with the Western world, you have to take into account the EU spends 2.3% collectively, this is a general estimate, on family, child care benefits. That's about $425 billion a year. Contrast that with their defense spending, $396 billion a year. Hey, if all of them have to meet their NATO requirements, guess what? No more daycare. The only reason they haven't is because we protect the free world. Now, I know, and I agree, there's a good case to be made, and I have made it, that we shouldn't be in NATO. We shouldn't be protecting the free world. But it's become very clear European nations aren't going to do it. They are the ones who need the Strait of Hormuz secured. I know people will say, well, if we didn't get into this conflict, there would be no issue. Do you really think that at no point Iran would cause a problem there? And do you really think that the EU would be prepared to deal with it, or would they be sitting there with their hand out in front of the United States, as they have done through NATO for decades? So because these nations don't spend on daycare, Don't spend on the military. They can spend on daycare. Germany, they declared internet a fundamental human right. Protect your own country. Go. Changes everything. That's the messaging that I would like to see. So let me give you, here's also another report. If they were to replace the United States forces in Europe, meaning if we said, you know what, you're on your own. You don't have our forces, so you got to make up that gap. You have to get it somewhere. They're spending $400-something billion a year on daycare. You know what the cost would be? $1 trillion. It would take 25 years. There goes their daycare.
What about this crazy idea? Crazy idea. U.S., I'm okay with protecting the world, doing, helping them out when they need it, but you got to pay us.
Yep. How about that?
You got to pay us. You got to do something.
Oh, and if you don't let us use the bases that we've been paying for, France, Spain, you now owe us a fine.
Yeah, for sure.
By the way, the U.S. federal government, we already spend about $29 billion a year on child care subsidies. So it's not nothing, to be clear. And I think that should largely be nothing. You can't be conservative and also want to see the large welfare state that has single-handedly created and encouraged, fostered the culture of baby mamas. There's an incentive for people to have children, not get married, avoid a nuclear family so they can get those subsidies.
Some people do it while living together.
Yeah.
Yep.
They'll go, hey, we have kids, we're still together, but let's not get married because if we get married, then I can't keep these benefits.
Right? And then it's a vicious cycle because it continues, and they're more likely to separate. They're more likely to need the support. I have, in principle, absolutely, military is the most important, probably the most fundamental role of any government. Right? Is to keep us safe. That's the purview of the federal government, both from internal, external threats. Got it. Giving you all the things that you want paid for is not. Yeah. It's not. So it really does pain me to see conservatives saying, this is betrayal. Take away the Iran thing just as far as that dynamic going either Iran or daycare. Okay, apply it to any other nation. Either safety or welfare. They've opted for welfare. They cannot keep themselves safe. It's not possible. And I don't want to see that grow anywhere here in the United States.
No. And I mean, basically the point Trump is making is like, hey, don't grow the size of the federal government by making this a federal government issue. This should be a state issue for you guys to determine.
Right.
You can raise taxes for it or not raise taxes for it. The right should be all over that and be like, yeah, we don't want the federal government getting bigger.
Right.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people go, yeah, X $100 billion for Iran. I say, okay. But that's not always the case.
Yeah.
States' rights.
And guess what? Not everybody has free daycare, and it's horrible, and public schools suck. It hasn't worked.
Stay-at-home mom, screw the daycare thing.
Yeah. Before this conflict, people were going, public schools suck, and kids should be able to stay at home. Now they're going, see, Iran is taking money, so I can't have daycare. Well, you know what? I shouldn't be paying for your daycare.
No.
That's my opinion. Here's the next point that generated controversy. He discussed Somalis, rightfully so. Apparently, statistics are racist, but I understand why people would say it's racist. I still support it anyway. It's time for Eye on Somalia.
Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
All right, listen to his comments here. Boy, there is a crap storm on social media over it.
How about in Minnesota? They come from Somalia, but they come from all over. They're all crooked in Minnesota. The governor's crooked. The attorney general's a crook. He's a thief. Terrible guy. All stupid, crooked people. And they came in from, in this case, Somalia is just terrible. A lot of people say it's the worst country anywhere in the world. They have no money, no nothing. They have no government. They have no police. They just shoot each other all day long. It's just pure bedlam. Probably
True.
The worst, most dangerous country. We have some beauties. They go to Minnesota, and they stole $19 billion. $19 billion. And they're low IQ. Generally, I mean, I can generalize. They're low IQ people. They're bad people. They have 94% unemployment. In other words, they don't want to work. You know, get a lot of jobs available, right, with the economy. They don't want to work. Why would they work? And they sold more Mercedes-Benzes than any state in the union because they come here with no money and they go out, they love a Mercedes-Benz and they go out and buy Mercedes-Benzes.
Okay, so people outraged. Again, if you listen to this entire sort of, I guess we'd call it, what would be press junket? It wasn't a speech. You're just talking to the press. The theme was states' rights, was what's the appropriate role of the federal government, because he talked about Minnesota needs to clean this up. They need to do something.
Yeah.
This state is crooked. People are really mad Because anytime you touch on IQ, they go, that's a racist trope. Here's the truth. The average Somali IQ is 67. Mental retardation is 70 or less.
Retard alert!
That principal would need to get a whole lot of action to get your kid in that school.
67. That's really bad. Now, you could say it might be higher for Somali Americans because of malnourishment over there. And sure, okay. It's still, by any metric that you can use, low IQ. And he's right. They don't work. They don't contribute. They don't contribute to the state, but they take.
There's a cultural element to that too.
Yes.
It's not just like, oh, you're from Somalia, that means you have a low IQ. It's not just that. It's, oh, you're from Somalia and you have a culture of incest, malnutrition, whatever. The incest thing is the main one for me.
Yeah. Generational incest, by the way.
Yeah, it's been happening for years. That's the biggest one for me. I'm sure there's other elements contributing, but
yeah.
That's the number one.
Just to be clear, there'll be one person.
Bring that here.
Actually, incest is a myth, and I understand. one incident of incest, the birth defects are increased from normal, but not as much as you've been told. But it compounds with each generation, and it's generational incest, not just in Somalia, but almost all Islamic countries.
And then you bring that culture over here, and it's okay to do it, so we do it. And then we got to take care of the mentally retarded people because, I mean, that is something that Social Security covers.
Right.
And it should, but not when it's being brought from another culture who's making it.
Yes, you
like
don't.
They're not purposefully, but kind of purposely making it.
Look, he can't say this. Here's what I will say. It is like importing millions of people from an actual retard-making factory. And saying we are importing them because, and to be clear, it's not a race thing. The retard-making factory is generations of incest with no interest in changing it and bringing them here knowing that they just left the retard-making factory and stuffed it in some packing peanuts and a box. That's Minnesota.
Thanks for saying that. I was dancing around it. I appreciate it.
I get it. Speaking of incest, he also mentions Somali congresswoman and professional brother lover. That is a fact, Ilhan Omar.
Ilhan Omar, who married her husband, married her brother. Her brother became her husband. When she has to check a book, she says, any brothers? One. Any husband? One. So on top of everything else, she gets a double income tax cut. She's a stone cold crook, and everybody knows it.
And here is the problem with the media. Here is the problem with the institutional left. If you are more outraged at him saying Somalis have low IQ, if you are more outraged at him pointing out that Ilhan Omar, and you can see the marriage certificate, we've shown it to you many times, married her brother. If you are more outraged about those statements than mass importing Somalis and the fact that Ilhan Omar married her brother, that means you don't have an objective bone in your body. And you're not looking out for the American people. That's my opinion. We don't need to spend much more time on it. The outrage is silly. Also, by the way, the only other company, if you want to be healthier, if you don't want to be from the retard-making factory, hey, a good multivitamin helps. It's the only other company that I own that I've created, Foundation. You can go to foundationdaily.com, get 40% off. It is a multivitamin with clinically effective ingredients at their clinically effective doses, completely transparent labeling. And it's what I've been taking for years, and I have to take it in all these other pills. Basically just a multivitamin, vitamin D, K, magnesium, turmeric, curcumin, and garlic, and clinically proven. I can actually make that claim. Clinically proven in clinical studies and trials at the doses that we put in the bottle, foundationdaily.com. And if you subscribe, hey, that's another way to keep the lights on. It's like Mug Club membership, only you just take a multivitamin you take anyway, and it's much, much better. It's the best one in the world. I will tell you that. Hey, did you know this? We've gone back to the moon.
Sort of. Back.
Kind of.
Back.
I mean, we're doing a flyby.
I know. Okay.
And we're not there yet. We still got to make a rotation around the Earth, and then.
Are we on a set in California again?
Whoa, that was.
Allegedly.
I like making fun of people who say we faked the moon landing. Sorry.
You were that.
Way to kill the momentum.
It's your show. Go for it.
Yeah.
Josh did it too. Because I know that people.
I just had your back because you're the CEO, and I wanted to have your back.
Yeah. People in the comment section are going to be saying that. You don't need to say it for them. By the way, you are free to leave those comments. 11 a.m. weekdays. Hey, do you like what you saw? I don't know how because it's on YouTube and we have to cut all the good parts out. So you should tune in live weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on Rumble. We can still speak freely and even use words like and get and whoa, you've been here this whole time?
Yeah. Snuck in.